One of the smartest and funniest comedians you've probably never heard of is Godfrey MacArthur Cambridge. He dominated the comedy scene in the 1960s. Born to parents from British Guyana, the Cambridges eventually settled in New York City. He earned an academic scholarship to Hofstra University, eventually dropped out to become a Broadway actor, and worked at local comedy clubs. His comedy material was bold, challenging, intellectual, and downright funny. He challenged people's political views, took on the KKK and black Muslims, as well as the struggles of dieting and fashion. By the late 1960s, he established himself as a Hollywood actor, playing a CIA man in The President's Analyst, a detective in Cotton Comes to Harlem, and a white man who turns black in The Watermelon Man. Sadly, Godfrey Cambridge, on the verge of superstardom, died of a heart attack in 1976. He is a talent that should be rediscovered.
Hey Stratford, it's Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. Here's what's coming up today.
Groundhog Day predictions. We'll tell you what the famous animal says about the weather ahead of us in the weeks to come. Plus, the pandemic hasn't stopped some major movies from debuting on the big screen. Hear what Sam has to say about the latest film from the DC comic world. And we get you caught up in the latest happening in sports. I'm Kia Goodman, and you're watching Stratford Daily News Show, Real TV.
Thanks for tuning in to Real TV. I'm Mari Roque. Groundhog Day was yesterday, and because of the coronavirus pandemic, the events that usually take place in Pennsylvania are done virtually. In place of the usual crowd, Punxsutawney Phil was surrounded by cutouts of fans who had hoped to be there in person. When Phil emerged from his burrow, he saw his shadow, declaring 6 more weeks of cold, wintry weather. Winter officially comes to an end on March 20th. Statistically speaking, Phil has been correct in his forecast about 50% of the time in the last 10 years. This annual ritual dates back to 1887. Back here at Stratford, if you're looking for a way to help make someone's Valentine's Day a little brighter, this is for you. The Students in Action Club is making Valentine gift baskets for women's shelter. You can help send someone love this year by donating. They're accepting donations of toiletries, items, new stuffed animals, flowers, Valentine cards, candy, and gift cards or coupons for food and drinks. You can drop off donations to the main office or SIA or to Ms. Garidi in room 524 by Tuesday, February 9th.
This week highlights the tremendous impact school counselors can have in helping students achieve school success and a plan for a career. Today we're spotlighting 2 of our school counselors. Ms. Glaze has been a school counselor for 6 years. 4 of those years have been here at Stratford. A fun fact about Ms. Glaze is that she plays the French horn, the clarinet, and several other instruments. Mr. Fox is one of our other amazing counselors. Before Mr. Fox became a school counselor, he worked as a combat cameraman for the Air Force. A fun fact about Mr. Fox is once he got to play soccer with cheetahs at a zoo in Africa. In sports, we get you updated on what's happening at Stratford. Here's Ben Martin with today's sports report.
The Knights boys basketball team is finally back in action after a long layoff because of COVID. Stratford was scheduled to play Wando this past weekend, but that game was also postponed. The Knights finally hit the hardwood Monday night against Cane Bay and came out with a big 65-47 win over the Cobras. Gerald Cheeseborough scored 19 points in the win. Stratford is scheduled to play at Berkeley tonight. The girls start at 6 and the boys start at 7:30. Most spring sports tryouts continue today after school. However, girls soccer tryouts do not start until February 8th. If you want to try out, you need to bring all the right paperwork, including your physical form, concussion form, COVID waiver, and the new BCSC consent form. Lastly, this Sunday is the Super Bowl. We'll have a full preview on Friday's show. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ben. Switching gears to the movie screen, Sam Candor is back with his latest review. Here are his thoughts on the latest superhero film to hit the screen.
Welcome to the future.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. Happy 2021. It is with great excitement that I am ringing in the new year because of the new releases, which is kind of odd saying because 2020 practically canceled every theatrical release. It delayed movies I was really excited for, like Black Widow, which got delayed all the way until May of this year, which I find very odd, but they also delayed the movie Wonder Woman 84, the sequel to the very successful Wonder Woman, which came out in 2017. Will the sequel hold up to the original? Well, after a few minutes of your time, I will answer that question and more.
Think about finally having everything you always wanted.
In short, Wonder Woman 84 is good, but it can be better. I thought the acting was really good. Gal Gadot's casting continues to prove an amazing decision. She does a fantastic job and is on par with people like Robert Downey Jr., who portray their comic book counterparts perfectly. Chris Pine was good and surprisingly had some pretty funny moments, though I'd have to say I prefer him in this movie's first installment. Now on something I liked quite a bit more than the original, the villains. Admittedly, my enjoyment of Cheetah was mediocre. She was alright, but was outperformed by a favorite comic book villain of mine, Maxwell Lord, played by the wonderful Pedro Pascal. And like I said, he outperforms Kristen Wiig by a long shot. Not to say she was bad, but Pascal's performance just seems so much more demanding. He transitions from this man who has so little and is just trying to seek importance to someone, well, a little off his rocker. And once again, I must say that Pascal knocks it out of the park. Ever since my viewing of The Mandalorian, I've grown fond of him, and I'm glad to see he doesn't disappoint in this.
It's all art. That just a trash can.
It's just a trash can. Yeah.
But what is disappointing, honestly, not a lot. I've seen a lot of people say that this movie is a mess, and while at times it can be, I wouldn't necessarily say that it breaks the experience. Like most movies that take you back to the 80s, sometimes it pushes that envelope a little too much, but again, it never takes away from the movie. Also, there's not too many stick-out locations or shots besides the beginning of the movie, which takes place in this humongous mega mall. It's a really fun scene and action sequence that we don't always get to see in comic book movies. The only other instance of something like this I can think of off the top of my head would be in Spider-Man movies like Far From Home and Homecoming to a lesser extent. Other than the occasional choppiness of the plot, I can't say much else was disappointing. So in conclusion, was the movie bad? No. Was the movie better than the original? I would still say I prefer the 2017 movie. I just think it has a better overall plot and direction. But if you enjoyed that movie, you should probably check this one out. I think it would be worth your time. It's on HBO Max if you have that streaming service. But if you're like myself and don't have it, you can check it out in theaters. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Happy New Year once more. Bye.
Nothing good is born from lies. And greatness is not what you think.
That's it for today's edition of Real TV. Have a great day.